Hi, I'm Terry Ryan. I'm a platform evangelist for Adobe, and I want to talk to you about one of the cool new features in ColdFusion Builder, which is that you can extend it with ColdFusion itself. So I'm going to do a very basic ColdFusion extension. I'm going to show you how to work with it and how to operate it. So I'm going to start out and I'm going to take this feature of ColdFusion where if you have a CFC, you can pop up in an HTML page documentation, kind of see what the arguments are, what the methods are, what the properties are. And here I have that up on my screen here. So I have component test. It's got two methods, list read. Read has some, read takes an argument, and we see that information about the arguments. We see that they're popping out queries. We get all that information. So what I want to do is pull that into my IDE so that when I'm working with code, I don't have to fire up a browser, see, log into that and pull that down. So what I'm going to do is here's that test CFC, and I'll just show off that that's the same thing we're looking at. But I want to build a ColdFusion extension. So the first thing I do is I create this IDE config file. Now the IDE config file has a couple pieces to it. At the top, it's metadata about the CFC, or about the extension. So you see I've called it CFC Introspector, I'm the author. I've got email, I've got a license information. Now down below, here's where the real meat of it is. I've got menu contributions and handlers. That's going to actually handle taking the IDE and have it talk to this backend code. So the first one, I have a contribution called project view, which is I want to over here on the left, when I right click on something, I want the extension to show up. Now the menu name that I'm going to show is CFC info. So when I right click on something, it's going to show this menu CFC info. And then I add a filter too. So I say filter type equals file, pattern equals, this is a regular expression for CFCs. So the idea here is that I want to only show this extension when I click on a CFC file. And finally, I want, this is the action I want to take. So I want to say action equals get docs, so that's what's going to display in the menu. And then handler ID equals get CFC docs. Now down below where I define the handlers, I say handler ID equals CFC docs, and that matches this with this. So when this is done, this will call this code. And then the file name of the handler is going to be get CFC docs. So you see here up in the code, I have a folder called handler. I have an application.cfm, and I have a get CFC docs file. The application CFM is just there to suppress debugging info. So if I add any other handlers, they won't show debugging output. So when I go over here to get CFC docs, you'll see that there's basically three pieces to this. I take the input from the IDE, which gets posted as a form to the ColdFusion page. I parse it, I get some information out of it, I clean it up a little bit, I basically get a CFC path. So basically from the IDE, I convert it and get the path that I'm going to set into the ColdFusion component utils that show me this documentation. So now here, this next part, CFC save content, that's where I'm actually taking the content and rendering it and then saving it to a variable. And then finally down below, I have this code. CF header, I got to spit it out as XML, and then I have this XML content that I have to follow. Response, ID, dialog, I set the width and height to 600 by 400, and then in the body, I'm outputting in a CData tag the contents of this saved content from the CFC Explorer. So that's it. 26 lines of code here, 27 lines of configuration there, and that's it. I built a ColdFusion extension. So in order to get it to run, I have to go to the menu for preferences and see here ColdFusion extensions, and I've got another couple of these listed. I'm going to import an extension. I'm going to import CFC Introspector, choose, and now I've got the import wizard. So you'll see here that it gives a little description. It's got my metadata there. Hit next. I have my license here. Hit next again. I associate it with a ColdFusion server that's installed within my IDE. I set it, it's going to handle kind of all the pathing and everything for me. I hit next. It gives me a little summary of everything. I hit finish. Import successful. So now, hit OK. Now, when I right-click this test CFC, you'll see that I have this menu option, CFC info, get docs. You'll also notice that I said before with that filter that only show for CFCs. If I right click this application CFM, it's not showing up. So I go back to test CFC, I hit CFC info, get docs, and it spits out that same content right within the ID without me having to pull a web browser up. So that is a basic intro to how to build extensions with ColdFusion Builder using CFML as the backend. If you want to find out more about this, go to the ColdFusion Developer Center or the ColdFusion site at Adobe. Thanks very much.